Welcome back to 90 Seconds Plus with Invercargill City Mayor Nobby. So the big topic this week is the Dunedin Hospital proposed plans, cutbacks or whatever. So the mayors and so on, representatives have had a meeting in Dunedin yesterday. So fill us in, Nobby.
Yep. So very controversial area, this hospital. I guess the downside is we don't have a unified approach from Otago Southland mayors. We have some mayors that are looking in their own rights. So no secret about that. Queenstown, Central Otago, Gore. And look, Invercargill's got rights to a new building as part of our hospital. We've had a claimant for ages. We're about 40, 50 beds short, 2 theatres short. Our ED department needs a major upgrade. But we're still advocating for the regional hospital in Dunedin because it's really, really important. I mean, I've been up there twice now with needing surgery. Lots of people I talk to in the community says we cannot afford to lose the capacity that Dunedin gives us because we are short here.
That's the problem, because the thing is, I don't think the governments seem to understand it's not just Otago or Dunedin, it's actually Southland as well. So it encompasses a bigger area because remember, is it 20-something odd years ago, the same situation happened where the Labor government at the time decided that Southland was on the decline, population-wise, so we ended up with a Band-Aid centre, which, as you said, is now overdue for some upgrades as well. So we end up with having a Band-Aid system, then they'll just put more pressure on Christchurch. So it's better to do it once and do it properly. But I do understand the government needs to look at some costs. But
well, the other side of the issue is that when we built our hospital, the government's focus was then on primary care. So that meant if you did more work and put more money into GPs and iwi authorities and other providers at the front end of your healthcare system, they wouldn't come into the hospital. You do preventative work. Well, that was nice in theory, but it never happened. That's right. For a whole lots of reasons. One, the money was never there because you have to find new money. You can't take money out of a hospital and give it to GPs. And the other issue is we've got an ageing medical population. So GPs are ageing. Some people in town can't register anywhere for a GP. Midwives are in short supply. Nurse practitioners are in short supply. So we've got a major problem in New Zealand. It's not just here. So we do need these critical care major hospitals that sit in the central cities. And in an ideal world, we would be out here in Invercargill. Logic would tell you if you had, I don't know, if you had 5 cardiologists in Dunedin, and they've probably got that many, one of them should be based here, and one of them should be in Queenstown, and the other 3 should be in Dunedin. But cardiologists, like a lot of specialists, like to work together. They like to peer group together, and they like working in Dunedin because if they're looking to increase their knowledge, they get it through the medical school and the university that goes with that. If you don't have that, if you downsize that, they'll be gone. They won't stay here. Why would you stay in Dunedin if you didn't have that link with the medical school and you didn't have the ability to work with colleagues? Because if you're sitting as a specialist in Invercargill and you're sick or you want to go on holiday, who covers for you? In Dunedin, if you're working with others, they can work schedules. So it means that we have to travel in. So the issue is how far do you have to travel? And we've probably got the most travel anywhere in the country. We're the most isolated, especially in the outlying areas of Southland. So do they travel to Invercargill or do they travel further on to Dunedin? And unfortunately it's Dunedin, and that's the way it is. But we have to support that. We cannot afford to have cutbacks. So at the moment the government's saying it could blow out to 3 million. I don't believe that at all. 3 billion. 3 billion, I think the figures I'm hearing are about 2.2 billion. They've recently cut about 300 million off it, and you'd have to wonder how in a space of a few weeks they can find 300 million. They're always saying it goes the other direction, but suddenly when the pressure's on, it comes back. I think if we got around about 2 billion, which is only 120 million above what the government said it will spend, which is 1.88, I think that would be doable. I think the government would probably find that money and we could have a win-win situation where the government can honour its commitments and we get the hospital we need, which is a long-term hospital, 50 years plus.
That's what exactly. That's the vision we need to be thinking of, not just 20 years or short. Because as I said, it's cost us. We're doing that in the past. We're down here, so and again, as I said earlier, Dunedin is a feeder or support, feeds up what we can't help down here when they push them through to Dunedin.
So you'll hear ministers talking about per square metre. This will be the most expensive hospital in the Southern Hemisphere. Well, that's true. And then when they go to build one at Tauranga, that'll be the most expensive. That's the way cost of living is. But the bottom line is if you want to retain top line specialists in your system,
Yes.
you have to have good facilities to work in.
Yeah, totally.
Nobody's going to work in what is basically a bloody dump, which is the current hospital in Dunedin. I've been here twice for surgery in the recent times, and the people inside are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
But the system in there, like I went to a ward, I was in there for 2 weeks, and I would have shifted beds about half a dozen times. And that thing is, they juggle beds around and theatre lists, and you can't be with this person. You can't, and we're in rooms of 4. Why didn't they just leave me where I was?
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of pressure on the system.
Yeah.
And the new hospital is vital to keeping quality specialists in Dunedin, and that's good for our whole region. And so we just need to be battling for that. And they made commitments, they honoured it. A lot of people in Dunedin voted for that. So everybody says, oh, well, Dunedin's a Labour stronghold. And that's true, that is. They're red seats, no doubting that. But the party vote in Dunedin swung to the right.
Right, yeah.
And so that was because people thought they heard the Prime Minister and the leader of New Zealand First say, we're committed to the hospital.
Yes.
And now they're not committed.
Yeah. We
And
need
so,
that.
we're going to have a bit of a rethink. Well, hang on, let's work it through. 16 years to design this new hospital.
Yeah.
They've only just put the piles in for the new inpatient block. The outpatient block's just about completed.
Yeah.
So now they've had 2 lots of blowouts that we have to fight for the thing. 2 years in a row we've had this debate with ministers. Mm-hmm. And the minister says, well, we're going to let the Health New Zealand specialists in infrastructure rethink some options for us by Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, these are the people that haven't managed it. And the minister absolutely said in one of his statements recently, this has been a very poorly managed project. Why do you go back to the people that have poorly managed it and tell them, where are the things? If it's that badly managed, they should stop and start again. And I told the minister, when we zoomed in with him, him and Chris Bishop, that, hey, the best way to get these big projects done in New Zealand is to have joint ventures.
Yeah.
The beauty of a joint venture, be it with local government or with government, is that the private sector comes in and they've got skin in the game.
Yes.
If they don't get it right, they lose money.
Yes, yes.
Local government don't lose money because they just push rates up.
Yeah.
And central government just juggles around massive amounts of money that they get.
Yeah.
So they've got a disproportionate amount of the take that comes out of
See.
the rates/taxes we pay. So look around the country. Christchurch Stadium,
Yes.
Transit Gully took forever.
Yep.
The light rail to the airport is stopped and started about a dozen times and is massively over budget. And the list goes on. Harbour Bridge in Auckland,
Yes.
clip onto the Harbour Bridge.
The
I
big
mean,
money they wasted on that for the
and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars spent on consultants, and they don't get a result at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So you need the private sector, and that was our learning with ICL. We had Scott O'Donnell in with Jeff Cotton.
Yep.
He was outstanding,
They
Jeff.
drove that whole project,
Yep.
which was good, because I was always concerned, like, if City Council was driving Invercargill Central Project, it would have just been like Homer Simpson's barbecue attempt, just a pile of crap in the ground and over budget.
I mean, look at Jeff's response to that.
Yeah.
He drove that project right through the major part of COVID, and we came in basically on budget and on time.
Yeah.
I mean, where else in the country has that ever happened? You've got to look for people that can deliver in the sector.
It'd be great, again, partnering with the private, like the Southern Cross. There's another private operators, hospital operators, because they could lease a part in the building or anything. You'd think reinventing it, thinking outside the square.
Well, I think that's what's coming for some of these outlying areas that have wishes for their own hospitals to be bigger. I think you'll find in the rural areas of Southland and Otago, we've got some growth going on. I think the private sector will come in. I think that we'll get these joint venture, not just for the bill, but they'll have a joint venture. So you like to have a Southern Cross type hospital that's part hospital for the government and part hospital for the...
That's right.
And they'll do elective surgery and what have you, but there's also capacity.
Because a lot of the surgeons in Dunedin do private, as well as they work during the day in the public. So it's a no-brainer to have one facility would be great. They can just skip through next door and do the...
It's no secret that... I mean, I know people that have had hip operations and knee operations done recently in Southern Cross, but the hospital, our central hospital, has paid for that. They don't have the capacity, so they've commissioned Southern Cross, or one of the providers, to actually do it for them.
So,
well, that's common sense.
Yeah. So we'll get people need to obviously get behind this petition.
They do.
There's running
and on your website shortly,
we'll have stuff up.
And other websites. I'll have the link to the petition, which is a nurses-driven petition, but it's based in Dunedin. So last weekend before, 35,000 at March, that blew people away. And even the Mayor of Dunedin was staggered how many people turned out.
Yeah.
And so they've got on a petition about 25,000. It needs to be a whole lot more than that. And people in the rural areas, especially our friends out in the farms and federated farmers and things, are in behind this because they're saying we need maternity services, we need these other services, and if we can't have them locally, we've got to be able to access them in either Invercargill or Dunedin. And this is not me pitching for Invercargill. I accept that we have to go through. And then the next equation comes is we've got to fully support the rescue helicopters. That's really paramount. They have to fundraise every year. Their energy should not be in that. They get government subsidy for most of their work, but they put the icing on the cake by having to fundraise for these things. And look, I know hundreds of people that have been flown to Dunedin, and many of them have said to me, I would not be alive today if it wasn't for those choppers. So we need to get in behind that, which then allows people that are needing emergency service to get to Dunedin and get there quickly. A big issue coming up in the next 4 weeks in Dunedin. So the website will be important. People can get onto the website and give their views. They will sign a petition, but there will also be some links in to send a specific message to certain ministers and certain political parties and say, hey, this is not good enough. You gave us a commitment. We've been waiting a long, long time. It's got to be done, and got to be done properly.
And probably the last thing would be this week was the tribute or the unveiling of the new terminal name, Sir Tim Shadbolt Terminal at the Invercargill Airport. It's been great to see. I think it was a good way of celebrating the Mayor Tim's or Sir Tim's reign as the Mayor of Invercargill. He certainly put us on the map back in the day, so I thought it was a fitting sort of thing. So, what's your thoughts?
Well, it's been a long time coming. I mean, we put a lot of issues up to Tim and his partner Asher, and so we've really struggled with that for quite some time. But it's good that I think that's probably the best option that we had on the suite that we had on the table, and people coming and going will appreciate that. I mean, people will argue about whether the sign's in the right place or whether the lighting's big enough. This is a significant thing. Not many airports in New Zealand have their terminals named after a thing. I mean, you go to Australia and you hear about the one in Sydney, where the whole airport's named after a famous aviator. But look, this is really significant. Anywhere else you go, I'm not aware of anywhere other place in New Zealand that's got the terminal name. And I'm hoping that when Air New Zealand fly in, they'll announce welcome to the Invercargill Airport is what they normally say, but they'll now say welcome to the Sir Tim Shadbolt Terminal. That gives some promotion, some legacy for the work he's done. Look, whether we had debates with him and his partner or not in the past and over many, many issues, the bottom line is he's the only politician that I'm aware of that was knighted while he was still in service.
True, yes.
Most people, once they finish their service, get knighted.
That's right.
John Key and others are good examples of that. But he was actually knighted while he was still an acting mayor, and that says heaps about the guy, that people thought that he was worthy of such an honour. So that airport stuff is really good.
It is, So it's a really good story, actually. It covers the different speakers who spoke at the function on Wednesday afternoon. Well, that's 90 Seconds Plus this week. Until next week, we'll see you later. Make sure you get online and save Dunedin Hospital. Till next week, see you later.